Welcome to the Story Cure podcast. I'm MeiMei Fox with your best-selling book, and today I am talking to Danica Favorite of PublishDrive. And Danica and I connected, I believe actually I initially connected with you. I'd heard PublishDrive come up several times through various authors that I've spoken with and also articles I've read about self-publishing in particular as a way to distribute your book. And we'll talk about that. Don't worry, we'll get into all of that. But basically, it's a really effective tool. And so I wanted to speak to you guys because my audience is mostly authors, aspiring authors. And so this is right up their alley, is to understand the point where you're like, okay, now I have my book. And everybody knows about putting it up on Amazon, but what do I do with it? So I'd like to actually dive in there and then we'll get a little bit more into other stuff. But Danica, thank you for being here today and talking to us about PublishDrive. So I have a book. I know about putting it on Amazon. Tell me more.
Yeah, so Amazon is just one place where you can distribute your book. A lot of people want to have their books distributed through KU, and it's so funny that
Kindle
Absolutely.
Unlimited.
Which is Kindle Unlimited. So by doing that, you're agreeing to be exclusive to Amazon. And that is great. A lot of people find that to be a very profitable endeavor for them. However, for example, today, some of the data centers in the Middle East were hit by missiles from Iran. And so AWS is down in certain places. And I'm seeing all over author groups where people can't buy their books. And so again, like it is a decision to make. Like, who would have thought we would be in this situation today, first of all?
Yeah.
But also, when you think about those things, is people who are exclusive to Amazon today are taking a huge hit in their income.
Okay, so I'm so glad you brought this up because this is one of the issues that authors have to look at for publishing their book, as well as the same issue if you invest all of your energy, attention in promoting your book. If you're like, oh no, I'm focusing all my efforts on LinkedIn, for example, or all my efforts on one platform, similar problem, which is what happens if that platform goes down? And
Right.
But run us back just a bit, just because again, like
Okay.
if they're more at the starting point, so imagine that they're just starting to write their book, or maybe they've finished it and they know they're going to self-publish, like they know they're not going to go get a traditional publishing deal. Why would they choose Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, which you call KU? Why?
Right. So it is a great choice for a first-time author in the sense that you upload your book one place, super easy. You put it up there and you're still going to have to work to get those sales, but it's in Amazon. And so a lot of people automatically go to Amazon. They can download your book. They can read your book. A lot of people have Kindles. So it's really easy. And for somebody who is just starting out and just beginning, wanting to know if, hey, is this publishing thing right for me? That's where a lot of people start. And so...
And do they give you other advantages besides ease of use? Are there any other advantages to signing up with KU? Like, do they do any promotion for you, or do they?
They really don't.
Okay.
There's nothing special Amazon will do if you're in KU. I mean,
They won't recommend your book to readers who've read similar books.
There will be, definitely there's going to be ways that you're going to show up more favorably in the algorithm.
Okay.
So yes, but in terms of like anything special Amazon is going to do for you, the answer is not really. So yeah, you'll show up in the algorithm a little bit differently. Some people say a little bit better. I've anecdotally heard from other authors that that's not true. I don't have evidence either way, but some people say that is true. So it is something to weigh. And of course, people who have Kindle Unlimited, what that is it's a subscription. And so every month you pay however much Kindle Unlimited. I think it's like $15 a month right now.
Yeah, something like that.
And so what happens is I can read, and I have Kindle Unlimited, so I can read as many books as I want in Kindle Unlimited that month for my $15 a month or whatever the price is. And so I can read as many books as I want. As long as they're in Kindle Unlimited, I can read as many as I want. And the authors get paid by page reads. So if I check out 10 books and I read these 10 books and I read all these pages, the authors get paid on their page reads. And so every author.
But if you check out a book and you don't read it, or you read 5 pages of the introduction,
nothing out. Yeah. The author's
you're not going to make any money on that. The author's not going to make money off that. Okay.
Right. And so again, it's like, do you want those readers, or are you going to want people who are going to buy your book? And here's the other thing with Kindle Unlimited, and this is my bad. I need to just buy the book, because I've got a couple books that I got in KU, really liked them, and so I keep rereading them. And so my KU queue is full. And right now I was just looking at a book that I wanted in KU, so I bought it. But I was really having to do this. Oh wait, which one do I get rid of? Which one do I get rid of? I'm like, okay, just go and buy the book, because that is the thing.
Yeah,
you can't just buy the book. And I'm like, I need to just buy this book. So it is something to keep in mind, and it is those particular readers and what that reader behavior is. And so there are some perks to that. And again, getting paid by the page read, that sort of thing, that's great. Today, that's a terrible deal. And
I mean, I think this sounds like a terrible deal. I'm having a hard time being convinced, because what I want to make clear, it's not what we're here to talk about, but I wanted to sort of set the stage for people who know nothing, is that you can publish on Amazon and have your book for sale on Amazon without being part of Kindle Unlimited, right?
Yes, and you can do that.
That is important to understand.
Yes, and you can choose to. And the other thing about Kindle Unlimited is it's for 90 days. So you check the box. If you're like, I don't like this, you can uncheck the box, and you can go out of KU. You can go. I know authors who go in and out of KU with books all the time. If you really need a book out of KU and you're not close to the 90 days, you can just email them and say, could you please take my book out of KU? Sometimes they're really good about it. Sometimes they're not. It just depends on the day. The other thing too is that Amazon can cancel your account for no reason.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of
it has happened.
Absolutely. I see that again every day in author groups. Authors are like, oh my goodness, Amazon just canceled my account.
Yep.
They won't tell me why. Now, there are some really great writing organizations like Ally. I always recommend them.
I love
because
Ally.
People
Which
who are
stands
members
for
Alliance of Independent Authors. And some of these people who are having these issues can go to Ally, and Ally can sometimes help them get their accounts back. That doesn't always happen. I was just reading in a group where the lady was really upset because she's been waiting on Ally to try to get this fixed. So just because you go to Ally doesn't mean they can fix it. And that isn't a problem on Ally's part, by the way. Ally's so fantastic. Yeah. I highly recommend, if you're a published author, please join that organization. They're so good. But it's good to know. And you don't always know why your account's been canceled. And to me, having all my eggs in that one basket is scary. And what I will say on the flip side of that is I know authors who will say time and again where they make their most money is in KU. So it's kind of one of those things you have to weigh and say, what is going to be best for me and my business? But more importantly, what's my risk profile?
So tell us what PublishDrive does, and let's contrast it with everything you just told us.
Yeah. So PublishDrive is a book distribution aggregator. So what you do is you upload your book to PublishDrive.
Yep.
We will distribute it to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple, Google Play, and a bunch of other regional stores. The nice thing is let's just pretend you don't want to distribute to all those stores. You can turn those stores off. So you always have control, and let's just pretend you have a book that you want to have uploaded to Amazon and you just want to handle Amazon yourself. You don't have to turn on Amazon. That's totally legit. But the point is you have control over which stores you distribute to. And the nice thing is you're only uploading to one place if that's the choice you make, which saves a lot of time and energy, because I have tried doing it separately to the individual stores.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Every dashboard is different. There are different ways of doing it. And for someone like me who is not techie, that is a pain in the neck. I mean, I just spend hours fighting with it. And so to have a service like PublishDrive, they do that all for you and it goes to all those stores.
So what do you do when you go to PublishDrive? What do? You upload your book.
You upload your book. You're going to go through all the different forms that you put in your title, your book description, your metadata, how much you want it to be priced at, all those little things. And then you upload your file and it will send it to PublishDrive. PublishDrive team is going to do some checks just to make sure that it meets various store guidelines and things like that. And so that will take a couple days to process. And then as the stores accept your book, it will show up in all of those storefronts.
And that means that any reader that you have will be able to buy your book through Amazon, through Apple Books, through Google Play, through whichever of these that you choose, so that your book is available everywhere books are sold.
Exactly. And
but you manage it all from one place, from one account, rather than logging into 10 different accounts.
Right. And that to me is just amazing, because managing all of that, organization is not a skill that I really have. I really struggle with that. And so having to remember the logins, having to try to do all of the different things, it's hard. And for me, it's hard. I know some people, that's one of their skills and that's great. And they can do that. To me, that time saving and that effort saving is so worth it. And again, the nice thing is you can turn on or off stores. So one of the features that PublishDrive has is we can do audio books that are AI narrated books through either Apple Books or 11 Reader. Now, not everyone wants to have AI narrated audio, and that's completely fine. Yep. You just turn off that store.
Right.
And that's great because, again, that's your control. That's you getting to decide, do I want AI narrated audiobooks or not?
That's right. It's so great.
So it is. Again, we want authors to have choice and control of their career. And we also, so this is for ebooks. We can also do audiobook, whether that's human or AI narrated, and we can do print on demand. So we have 3 formats that we do. You do have to upload separate files for the audio and for the print, simply just because the file requirements are different. But what's nice about those 2 AI audio stores is they do that directly from your ebook. It self-narrates everything for you. You don't have to do anything other than say yes, which I like.
And you can choose the voice, right? I mean, I know I've worked with 11 Labs before. You can choose a voice.
So when you are when you're doing this program, you don't get to choose the voice because it's just through their automated system. However, if you had a book narrated through 11 Labs, you could just upload it as an audiobook with the choose your own voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So little differences there, but I think for authors who are dipping their toes in the water, wondering how it's going to work for them, it's a great option. It's really nice to at least try it and see. If it's for them, great. If it's not for them, also great. So that's what I like, is that you get to have that control and those choices. And that's what I am really all about right now, is give people the choices, right?
So when you upload to PublishDrive, you said you could also upload the print on demand to Amazon, Ingram Spark platforms.
Yeah, so we have Amazon, Ingram Spark. We have a company, it's called Repro India. And so just a few options. But for me, the advantage is I know a lot of people, like with the different companies, again, trying to make sure that the book comes out the way they want it to, we can easily get that done for you.
Okay.
And again, it's having everything in that same dashboard. And so a lot of people say, well, what's the difference between you guys and Ingram Spark? Well, the difference is we will go to more places and we can upload to all the same and send to all the same places you're going to get sent to if you upload to Ingram Spark.
And then Also, are there also analytics that you offer for
Yeah, we
where
do.
your
We
book
have,
is sold? Like, do you get
mhm,
data and analytics? Because I think that would be a really big plus as well, is see, who's buying my book, where,
exactly.
which platforms, which parts of the world are they coming from?
Yes, yes. And so we do. We have a very comprehensive dashboard that's going to show you what books are selling, where they're selling, what formats are selling if you have multiple formats, which stores they're selling at, which countries they're doing well in, all of those things. For some reason, Australian readers really love my books. So thank you, people in Australia.
Thank you, Mr.
So it is. It's really nice. And again, what's nice about having this all in one dashboard is a lot of people pay for separate services
Mhm.
to get their analytics. They upload this report, that report, or they have different API keys to connect so that the service can get their reports for them. But you're paying for a separate service. And you have to make sure that all the reports from all the different places get put in to that analytics report, where if you have everything already distributed through PublishDrive, it's already there.
That's a really nice feature as well, I think, for any author who's kind of trying to pay attention to their analytics and their demographics.
Right.
Way simpler to have it in one place.
Yeah. And I think now more than ever, that's important because it's important to see what your data is telling you and where things are selling. We just released a report that you can sign up for if you go to publishdrive.com and download it, which is our 2025 complete sales information. And it's telling you what genres are growing, where they're growing, what formats are growing, all those different pieces that you need to make business decisions for your business based on the data, not just, I wonder if this will work, or I wonder if that will work. You can actually take a look at both our data and your data and see what makes sense for you and your business.
Yeah, it's terrific. Also, in terms of Google, because I know a lot of self-published authors, they just go to Amazon. And like you said, that can be okay, and I tell people that too. I'm like, look, if you just want to publish on Amazon, that's fine. That's fine. That could be aligned with your business goal. You just want to have it there. You want to be able to order some print on demand author copies. You want people to be able to go find it on Amazon, and that's where your ambition ends. It's fine. It depends on your objectives for your book, right? But
Right.
if you want a library or an independent bookstore to be able to carry your book, it can't just be on Amazon. It has to be published through Ingram Spark, right? And then,
Right. So there is a change there.
so, okay.
So I just want to point this out because a lot of people don't realize this is that if you're in KU, you can't go to library distribution or you couldn't. And recently they have changed that so that
Okay.
if you want to distribute to libraries, you can do that. Now, you can't use Amazon to do it. You have to do another service. But going back to PublishDrive, that's one of the markets that we handle is libraries.
Wow. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for certain authors, again, depending on your goals. And then, KU, for example. So there's two very
Mhm.
different objectives, right? Like you could be an author and you're writing romantasy, which is the hot genre right now, right? You're writing
Mhm.
romantasy books. Your goal is to put that in front of as many eyeballs as you possibly can and just crank out copies. So KU could be an excellent option for you.
It
My
could, but it's
authors
also a great option for wide.
for wide, to go wide, which is PublishDrive,
Yeah.
which is to also go on all these other platforms, as many
Right. Right.
platforms as possible, right?
Right. And part of that is knowing like what your buyer demographic is and who are your readers. A lot of these people, for example, like romantasy, the reason it got so hot is because of TikTok. And so if you're an author who has a TikTok store, because a lot of authors are finding success that way, if you have a TikTok store, you can't be in KU.
Wow.
So just another thing to think about is again, where are your buyers at? How are they finding your books?
Right.
And yes, TikTok also does work for KU. I'm not saying that. I just know a lot of authors that I know personally who are having success with TikTok are wide. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's really again What are your goals? What are your reader demographics? Who is that target audience? And look at other authors in your genre. Go to the Amazon store. Are they
Yeah.
wide? Are they KU? And because that's going to give you an idea of the reader behavior of who's going to pick up your book. And no, I'm sorry, your book isn't right for everyone. So
No,
figure out who that ideal reader is, which I'm sure you really help a lot
I,
with, MeiMei.
I definitely do. That's number one. That's number one on my list is your who, what, why. And the who is your book for? Because so many people come thinking about this is the book I want to write. And they're very excited about it. But it's like, wait, but who's your reader? Let's talk about who your reader is. And it's not everyone. It's never everyone. I have a lot of authors who are not coming to me because they have a romantasy book and they want 1 million people to, read their book. They are writing books because they are thought leaders, which means that
Yeah.
they have a tremendous skill set, incredible wisdom, like a very highly accomplished career. So they are, doctors, professors, founders of companies, founders of nonprofits. And so their objective, I mean, I'm not going to say they don't want a New York Times bestseller. I mean, who doesn't, right? But
Right.
their objective with their book is they're more interested in having their book available as a calling card, as an authority piece. I say the word authority has author in it, right? And they're going to take it when they speak and they're going to take it to conferences. And so they're less concerned with necessarily like reaching thousands of people out there as they are about really establishing their authority. What do you think is the best approach for that situation?
So in that situation, particularly because I don't know where they're speaking or that sort of thing, I would want them to be wide. Just as somebody, I mean, let's just pretend I'm at a big conference, there's a bunch of speakers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, look at all these books. I want to be able to know that I can get the book wherever, because you don't know where those readers are buying their books.
That's
And
right.
how they're buying those books. And so I don't know about you, but when I go to a conference, I have a list of books that I come walking away. I want to buy these books.
That's
And
it.
so, okay, where am I going to go buy those books? And for some people, again, my KU queue is full, but not all those authors are going to be in KU. And that's totally fine. But maybe I do want to buy from somewhere else. Maybe I have Kobo, and Kobo has its own version of KU called Kobo Plus. And so I don't subscribe to Kobo Plus, but I know people who do. The nice thing about Kobo Plus is you don't have to be exclusive to Kobo for it. And so maybe people want to read their books that way. Maybe you're an Apple person, and so you want to do
Right.
Apple books.
That's right. Or you're a Google person, so you want to do Google Play because you're already paying for
Right,
it for your music and
right.
your video games. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really important, particularly, we have to remember, even though we say Amazon is worldwide, it
Yeah.
isn't. There are a lot of countries Amazon isn't available in. And so if you are selling to people living in those countries, how are those people going to get your books? And if you are really US centric, that's totally fine to say, yep, I'm good. But for example, Germany is one of the biggest growing markets right now.
I saw that
And
in your report because I read your report and I saw Germany and global in general, right? Global in general
yeah,
is doing well. And I think a lot of Americans do not think about the global market when they think about publishing their book.
right, right.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine to not think about the global market if you really want to concentrate your business in America, in the United States. But here's what I think is really amazing about that is that people all over the world have the potential to read your book. And so, like, you're talking about being a thought leader and you're talking
Yeah.
about people's authority.
Yeah.
If you want to touch the lives of people in other countries and perhaps have that global expansion,
For
then
sure.
I would want that available to as many people as possible, because you don't know whose life you're going to touch.
I agree. And I think that that is what I wanted you to say, but it's good to have you say it, which is I would absolutely go wide and use a service like PublishDrive because you want to be available wherever your reader, you have a smaller audience, but an audience that you want to make sure finds you. You don't want to make it difficult for them to find you. So you want them to be able to find you wherever they're already buying their book. That's what I think is,
Right.
it's not you have to be directed here. And yeah, are they global? They are. These are people, of course, some of their speaking engagements are going to be international, and some of their people are going to be international for sure.
Yeah, and
So,
here's the other thing about being global that I don't think people realize, because as soon as I said Germany, I know someone listening is going to say, oh my goodness, I need German translations. So
right.
the answer to that is no, because a lot of these countries, they speak English. And so, yes, people doing German translations are being incredibly successful. But as an example, I have people ask me about Sweden all the time because the Swedish book market is actually really lucrative because they read a lot. And then people I've seen in different groups talking about, well, my Swedish translations do terribly. And here's why. Most of them read in English. And so people will want to buy your book in Swedish, but unless you're a native speaker, the translation is probably
They'd
not going to
rather
be.
buy it in English.
They'd
Yeah.
rather get it in English.
How
So I
funny.
wouldn't necessarily worry about translations until you know your book is selling well in a particular country. And then you can say, oh, okay, my book is selling really well in this country. Maybe I should then do the research to see if it's worth doing translations. But don't make that financial commitment until you are being successful and have proven your success in that country. Because even if you have a speaking engagement in another country, they've probably booked you to speak in English. And so they're going to expect you
Yeah.
to buy the book in English.
To buy the book in English. Absolutely. But they want to be able to buy it locally from their store that may not be Amazon
Right,
or
exactly.
wherever they're buying it. It's very cool. That is a very, very practical service. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to PublishDrive, Danica.
So my story is kind of interesting. So I'm also an author and I have over 30 books, most of which are traditionally published.
What? 30
All
books?
those books behind me, those are mine.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you. So previous to this, I worked for Harlequin and I worked in the writing community portion where I worked with aspiring authors who wanted to be published. And so I spent about 20 years there. I obviously started as an infant and um, I had a
Very
friend,
precocious.
absolutely. I had a friend who was working at PublishDrive and they were looking for someone to take on a role there similar to what I was doing for Harlequin and said, hey, do you want to try this? And I really have no complaints about Harlequin. I really do. I enjoyed working for them. I have nothing negative to say about them. However, the role that I was in, because I was remote, I had no upward mobility. I was never going to be able to grow. I could not get promoted because I wasn't in the office. And the office I worked for was the Toronto office, and I live in Denver. So that's not a great commute. So I knew that. And for a long time, that served me really well. And I'm so grateful for that. But I started wanting to grow professionally. And how can I learn new skills? How can I do different things? And so I was like, sure, let me apply. And I applied, I got hired. And let me tell you, it has definitely been a huge growth experiment for me
Wow.
where every time I turn around, it's okay, let's try something new. And so my next something new thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on our YouTube channel and trying to grow our YouTube. So um, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to PublishDrive's YouTube channel.
I just watched one of the videos on there, as a matter of fact, so I found it very practical. I highly
Oh,
recommend
good.
it. It's good
Yeah.
practical information. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And please, if any of you are like, oh, hey, I'd like to see a video on this, reach out, let me know, because that is what I'm
Oh,
trying to do.
great idea. Okay.
I also have a podcast called Brave New Bookshelf, which is all about AI and writing that I co-host with my good friend, Steph Bajonas. And so, yeah, I do a lot of different things. Getting to talk to people like you is one of the main things I do in my job. And I really enjoy that because that was something that I always loved about my job at Harlequin is helping people achieve that dream of getting their books out there.
Mm.
And the problem with Harlequin again, this is no shade on them, is Harlequin publishes a very specific kind of book.
So all your books Harlequin? Are they
Yeah.
romance
Yeah.
novels essentially, right?
Yes, they are all romance. And if you are able to write that specific kind of book, you are going to do really well. But there are authors, and some of them I can't, that wouldn't be really appropriate, but I just want to go to them and say, please stop trying to get published by Harlequin. I know that's your dream, but that's not what you write. Write what you write and go out and find self-publishing or even another publisher, because it's a very specific kind of book. And you are drowning out this beautiful voice trying to be something you're not.
Oh.
And that's what I love about working at PublishDrive, is that every story has that chance to be distributed. Every story gets to be heard because there are no gatekeepers. And I want that for so many of these authors out there, because I really do believe they have compelling stories. I mean, I would sit there and listen to them pitching these stories that were amazing, brilliant stories. But here's the thing, even if they had the next Harry Potter, Harlequin can't publish it.
Wow.
And so even though it's this fantastic, brilliant, beautiful book, sorry. And so many people take whether or not they are accepted by a publisher as whether or not they're a good writer. And I don't believe that.
I know. I tell people that too, Danica. And I've really seen that in my 30-year career. I don't work in fiction, but even in nonfiction, because when I got my start, if you were at the top of your field and you had a good book idea, I would say, like, we're going to get you a publisher. And every book proposal I worked on, I got people a traditional publisher, because, I knew what the criteria were, and I knew that they fit those criteria, right? And as of the last 5 years, that is completely not the case. And I have clients who are brilliant and absolutely one of the number one experts in the world on their topic area. And if they don't have hundreds of thousands of social media followers, hundreds of thousands, people will be like, oh, but I have 12,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, sorry to laugh in your face. That's all the traditional publishers care about anymore. So it doesn't even mean that it doesn't mean anything about whether you're a good writer or an important, or if you have an important idea, a world-changing idea. It doesn't matter.
No,
they only want people who have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Right. And they don't care. And that's the thing, because my agent has retired. But back when I had an agent, I did have some nonfiction ideas. And it was really funny, because I can't tell you how many times I would give him my nonfiction book proposals, and he's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I love this. And he's like, I can't sell it. It was for that exact reason. It's not because it's not a good idea. It's not because people don't need to hear this message. It is because you don't have the platform. And
that's right.
Unless I can guarantee to this publisher, you're going to sell X number of books because you have this many followers, because you've built this big thing, they don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. And you cannot convince them. It doesn't matter. You could come at them with even people. I have one client, he's founded multiple billion-dollar companies. Okay. So his proposal was like, he can throw money at the problem. They still don't care. He still is getting rejected. They still don't care.
No, they don't care. And that's why I think sometimes it's best if you do self-publish it, because then you at least are getting your message out. You're able to share it with as many people as you want to. And here's the cool thing. It doesn't happen very often, so I don't want to put this as like the big dream out there for somebody. But there are times that if a self-published book does really, really well or somehow goes viral, sometimes a big publishing house will say, hey, can I buy the rights to that?
Exactly.
And then you can negotiate it.
If you want to. Well, but then at that point, I'm sorry, but at that point, if you've built your following and you maintain the control, and you determine which platforms you publish on, and you set the price, maybe you don't even want a traditional publishing deal at that point.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the decision that I made, because part of my story is a couple years ago, I got divorced and major life change. And really started thinking about what do I want to write. I went through a season when my marriage was really bad, and then through the divorce, I couldn't write.
Mm,
And I finally this year got my first book out that I had finally finished since everything started going bad for me. And it really has occurred to me that I can write whatever I want. I'm not under contract anymore. And even though right now my indie publishing isn't making as much money as I made with traditional publishing, I look at what my indie author friends are making. I never had that potential to make that money unless my book was some kind of massive runaway hit. I know
right.
because the
Right.
percentage that you get paid as a traditionally
That's right.
published author is ridiculous.
It's like 10%, 12%. That's what I tell people. They can't
Yes.
believe it. They are
Yeah.
shocked. They are shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to one of my friends who does some publishing consulting, and I told her, I said, yeah, I was kind of disappointed. Like, part of me wants to go back and try to get another contract because I know I'll get an advance. I know what my advance is going to be, all of that stuff. And she just kind of looked at me. She's like, why? And I'm like, well, because this is how much a chunk of money I'll get for my
Right.
advance. And she
Right.
said, okay, but do you realize you could run a Kickstarter and you could get that exact amount of money with one Kickstarter
Yep.
and you would still own the rights to everything you did? And I'm like,
And then you'd recoup 70% of everything on the back end forevermore.
right. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't see the point to it. And
Mm-mm.
again, I did understand because there is this vanity piece. So all of
There's a
those books
vanity
you see
piece.
behind me,
There is.
my readers could buy them in Walmart. My readers would go to Walmart every time I had a book out. I'd go to Walmart. Look at me, I've got a book in Walmart, and it was
Yeah.
super fun to be able to do
That's
that. And
cool. Of
as
course.
an
It's
indie
amazing.
author, that's really tough to experience. The amount of work you have to do to get your physical book in a physical bookstore for any indie author is really hard.
Yeah.
And so that vanity piece of wanting to see your book in your favorite bookstore, I
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah.
but that's really expensive vanity right there.
It is. And it's less and less the case. That's what I keep telling people. I'm like, I get it. And 10 years ago, I absolutely got it. And 5 years ago, I was like, I still get it. But now I'm less and less. I'm like, guys, you don't need it. You don't need it. Let's go. Let's get. And the other
Yeah,
issue is timing, because a lot of my authors, they don't want their book to be out in 2 years. They want it in 3 months or 6 months.
right,
And
right.
if you go
And
with
the
a
other
traditional
thing,
publisher, it's going to be 2 years until it's on the shelf. So that's another factor.
right, right. You are waiting 2 years to get your books on the shelves. And here's the other piece of that is I have done book signings at the different big bookstores, things like that. I've done multiple ones. And just because you're an author sitting in a bookstore with a book and come sign my book, come buy my book, you're not getting that walking traffic. You might get one or two. I think in all the book signings that I did at these bookstores, and I've done multiple, and I've been to multiple that my author friends have done, you're going to get one or two people off the street. Everyone else that comes is going to be your friends and family. So those book
Yeah.
signings that you're doing are
Yes.
for your friends and family. But
Yes.
if you're a speaker from a stage like you're talking about,
Yes.
you go to an event and that's where you're going to sell and move copies of your
Yes.
book.
Yes.
And so, yes,
Yes.
it is nice to be in a bookstore and do a bookstore signing, but it's not going to move the needle the way you
No.
talk about with your clients. And that's
No.
so important for people to understand is what is the ROI on that? And it's so funny. We had on the Brave New Bookshelf podcast, we just interviewed someone this week who does a lot of live events and goes to like the big cons and sells her book at the different conventions. And she was telling us how she does it. And it was really fascinating to me because obviously there you get the different foot traffic and you get the people that way, but
Yes.
a different strategy. And so what we talked through is, would she do it again based on what her ROI is? Because again, you take the time out
Mm.
to go and do a book signing or to do an event. What is your time worth, number one? How much money have you spent to get there? Travel, hotel, eating out, all the fun little giveaways you stick out on your table for the
Right.
passerby.
Right.
all those things. At the end of the day, what is that ultimate ROI? And, what is your time worth? And that's really huge. I was talking to an author one time, and he was like, I don't do anything for less than $5,000 an hour. And I'm like, what? And he said, well, what I figured is my productivity time of writing a book, how many hours it takes me to write a book, how much money I make per book, it's $5,000 an hour. So unless I know I'm going to make $5,000 an hour, I'm not doing it. And
Wow.
I thought about that. And so when you look, and I understand most of your people aren't making $5,000 an hour off their writing yet, but
No, but I don't even know that that's their objective. Like for
right,
them, they're selling their consulting or their coaching
right,
or their speaking, right? So then the way you have to look at it is, will you get one coaching client who's going to pay $5,000, right? For
exactly,
like a coaching package. And if I can get one client out of it, then it's worth it. But then that's a very
right,
different strategy. Again, like there's trying to sell 1,000 copies of the book, or there's selling one, but that person's going to pay $5,000 for your coaching. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Yes,
Like it's
exactly.
a
And
yeah,
yeah. And that's the thing you think about and have to think through, even going back
yeah,
to PublishDrive, because some people will say, oh, well, you charge a monthly or annual subscription fee. It's kind of expensive. I'm like, okay, but break down how many hours of work that saves you. How much
right.
of that time
Yes,
is that worth
yes,
to you?
yes,
And how much are you paying an assistant to do that for you or whatever? Because, yeah, sure, you could DIY it as much as you want. And I know a lot of people out there bootstrapping their careers and DIYing as much as they can, but is it worth that time that you could be spending with a coaching client, writing your
yes,
next book,
right.
speaking,
Exactly,
promoting, whatever that is? And that's
exactly.
where I really think that we have to think of this as business people, as entrepreneurs. Like,
Yes,
I joke about this with some of my friends, is that being an author is honestly the cheapest entrepreneurial path you could ever embark upon. Because if you're going to go buy like a franchise or something, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
right,
Whereas
right.
this, you just open up your laptop.
Open up your laptop, start posting. Tell me one more thing before we go, which is you touched on AI. So, how is that changing things? And like, there must be. I just actually heard do you know the podcast Hard Fork? It's like a New York Times tech journalist. And he does a pod. It's a fantastic podcast. They were talking about this romance novelist who is using AI to spin out like 100 books a day, but she already had written many, many books. So she's like you.
Right,
So
right,
it would be if you took your 30 books, you fed that into an LLM, and then you had the AI spit out books, but based on your content. That's what she's doing. And it's almost like allowing her to A/B test and experiment, right? Like, what happens if
right,
I give it
right.
this ending? What happens if I give it that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's
Yes.
kind of how
So,
she's using. And then, only 1 in 100 are going to hit, but she's
right.
getting all this data.
Exactly. And so there are a couple of things I want to share about that. Number one, she's
Okay.
actually a friend of mine. So I
Oh,
know
you're
her.
kidding.
Yeah, I know her. She has been on the Brave
I
New
was
Bookshelf
so
podcast.
impressed. I was so impressed with that whole. I was like,
Yeah,
this is brilliant. This is a
yeah.
brilliant strategy.
So we interviewed her on Brave New Bookshelf on our podcast a few weeks
Oh,
ago. So go ahead, go look for Coral Heart on Brave New
okay.
Bookshelf,
Okay.
and you can listen to how she breaks down all of her processes. And there are a couple things about this, and I really hate all these things coming out about it because I think they oversimplify it. Like, she is,
Hmm.
as you said, she's already a published author in her own right.
Yeah, no, I mean,
She,
that was a huge point and a successful one
yeah,
at that. Yeah.
right. And so
Critical point.
she knows and teaches story structure. And so it's not just about
Hmm.
getting it to get the LLM to do what you want. Like, she's got these massive outlines and
Yes.
story structure things that she's feeding the LLM to teach it and tell it what to write. And it's all based on good writing principles. It's not just type in the LLM, hey, give me a book. That
Yes.
doesn't work, and it never has. Now, what happens is people talk about the market being flooded of people doing type a book in
Yeah.
the LLM and get the book. And yes, that is true. The
Yeah.
market is being flooded, and we at PublishDrive have to deal with that every day,
I
where
bet.
we're getting stuff that we can't, I said we can publish anything. Okay, we can't, because some of this stuff that's just stuff from the LLM that is not good at all, the bookstores will send back to us and say, we can't accept this. And so for us, we have to now make sure that those books meet certain quality standards.
Wow. So you're doing quality control now.
Yeah,
Wow.
because otherwise we risk our account with those stores being canceled. And so
Wow. Well,
what
that's
people,
actually good to know. That actually gives me even more faith in using PublishDrive as a service, I must say, because I also get submissions from people to work on their books, and some of them are quite good and they need fine tuning. But now people are submitting to me an entire 80,000 word manuscript written by ChatGPT, and it
right,
sounds like ChatGPT. It's
right,
crap. Yeah. And
exactly.
I'm like, I can work on this for you, but it's going to be many hours of my work to make it better. But then they could turn around and publish that tomorrow.
They could.
There's nothing
And
stopping them, right?
there is nothing
Yeah.
stopping them. But
Yeah.
here's the thing is that, again,
Yeah.
because Amazon, for example, is just flooded with
Flooded.
all of these really poorly written AI books, they are cracking down and they are making it more difficult. And so a lot of companies like Amazon, like some of the other companies out there, if they find something that's poor quality, they just cancel your account and don't tell you why. And there's no
Oh my
recourse.
God. Is that true? That I need that
Yes.
story. That story's going in my newsletter right there. So
Yeah.
if you publish, I just want to make sure I got this. Coming from an expert who has seen this,
Mm-hmm.
if you publish a poor quality ChatGPT generated book, Amazon could shut down your author account.
Yes, they can. And so, and I've seen it happen with people under multiple pen names. So it'll shut your whole author account, not just that one book.
No.
And again, there's nothing wrong with AI content. I want to make that really clear. You
Oh
can
yeah, me
use
too.
AI to help you write, and it can, as long as it's good quality. Just make
Yep.
sure you're doing those quality checks. You're making sure it's actually a good book. And what I will say, and I want to compliment my team here because they work so hard, where if they suspect fraud
Yeah.
or they suspect that it's just AI vomit material, they will actually investigate it and they will give you the opportunity to say, no, I really did work. They actually will work with you, but we are very conscientious about the fact that if we went through one book, like it's just one bad book that's going to shut everyone down.
Yeah.
And
Wow. Wow. That's so
unfortunately,
fascinating, Danica.
yeah, unfortunately, bad actors make it bad for everybody, but we really do try to help the people who are just out there trying to do the best they can.
I'm happy to hear that somebody's doing some quality control on all that AI slop. I'll tell you that. Even though I do like it too, I'm very much promote it as a collaborator, and I find that there's ways in which it's really sped my process along, and I'm grateful for it. I find that garbage in, garbage out, as they say. Like if you don't give it good source content and good stories, and if you don't edit it on the back end,
Right,
it's not
right.
going to be good. It's not going to be readable even. I'm not even talking good. I'm just saying like even anything
Yeah,
other than pure garbage.
right. You really have
So,
to put the work
yeah.
in, and you have
Yeah.
to know how to write. If you don't know how to write to begin
Yes.
with,
Yeah.
it's never going to be good quality. So
No.
still work on those skills as a writer and
Yeah.
always look at improving. And the great thing with AI is you can use it to help you improve. You can
Yeah.
put something that you've written in there and say, what are my strengths and weaknesses as a writer?
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love asking it like, what are the holes here? Right? Like, I love that question. It's like, it's a great, again, it's like a collaborator, right? But then use it as a collaborator, but still use your own brain, please. And still tell
Right.
your own stories, please.
Absolutely. And we have to
Yeah.
remember, everyone's so afraid of the robots taking over, is that we have agency.
Yeah.
And we need to use our agency. We need to use our discretion. I think now more than ever, our critical thinking skills are so important. And this
Yes.
is a way to exercise that critical thinking muscle.
Yep. I completely agree. And also putting in my little ad here for the value of writing. Even if no one ever reads your book, it's therapeutic. It's some of the best therapy around and it's free. Sit down,
Absolutely.
write. It rewires your brain. It's like proven by the neuroscientists to rewire your brain. So even if nobody reads it, do it for that reason alone, you know?
Absolutely. And, you know, at the end of that experiment, then you'll have a book. And if you want to publish it, great. If you don't want to
Yeah,
publish it, also great.
don't. Yeah.
And what's so cool is if you aren't in this, if you're sitting here going, I don't want to make much money with my book, okay, great. Put your book up if you want. And if it doesn't make money, fine. And if it does, you've got some extra spare change to help fund your reading habit at least.
I love that. What a great note to end on. Danica, thank you so much. Can you tell us where to find you and PublishDrive? You've mentioned your podcast a couple times. Give us all the places to find you.
Yeah, so PublishDrive is publishdrive.com. We also are a lot of social media channels. Like I said, we're trying to build our YouTube channel, which is also PublishDrive. Our podcast is Brave New Bookshelf and bravenewbookshelf.com. You can find us on all your podcast channels. We also have a YouTube channel. And then personally, I'm DanicaFavorite.com and all my socials are Danica Favorite as well.
So go buy some of Danica's books, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Thanks, Danica.
Oh, thank you.